Hey guys, Adam Rose, Vice President and Senior Loan Officer for Western Ohio Mortgage here in Sydney, Ohio. Today's another episode of the Mortgage Guy Podcast. Today is going to be a quick market update on what happened in 24, what's going into 25 rate-wise, and why we haven't seen a ton of movement. And then just a couple of tips because we are in winter and a lot of people travel for their vacations January through March. And just a tip on keeping your home safe there. So let's hit mortgage rates real quick. Haven't seen a ton of movement since the last change the Fed went through on December 18th. But just to read some of this stuff, there wasn't really any sense of urgency surrounding the Fed rate cut. So there were two cuts that happened, November and December. December, they hit a quarter of a point rate cut. I think it was on the 18th. And then mortgage rates actually went up a little bit. Okay, the bond market, not liking it. And it's just because they think the inflationary measures are still there, which they are, right? And so the Fed probably shouldn't be doing much of a cut. And I think the only reason they did it is because they announced that they were going to do it. So I think the market would have reacted even worse if they didn't go through with a quarter of a point rate cut. And it could have ended up putting us in a significantly worse position than we find ourselves in currently. And the Fed did announce that they're going to slow down rate cuts next year, and we're just going to see how that goes. I think they're going to keep an eye on what's going on with the consumer price index and what's going on with inflation. We just haven't gotten it down to the point where it makes sense to continue cutting the rates. But anyways, the rate rise leveled off by the end of the week when the Fed cut on the 18th. With the average lender offering top-tier conventional 30-year fixed rates near 7.125, which the average across the country is only modestly lower, today at 7.07. It hasn't moved much at all since then. Now, again, guys, you're going to see a lot of offers out there, especially people, a lot of loan servicers are pushing refis still. You're going to get a lot of stuff in the mail with these 599s, these 6.25s. I just saw a loan estimate the other day, and that loan servicer was charging that consumer 4 points. 4 points. That is insane to get a 599 to save a point below market, because we were about a point higher with only a 1 point discount. So it's got to make sense, guys. These people are going to continue to push the refis and push it, whether it makes sense for you cost wise or not. Whether a true advisor would tell you, hey, you know what, we should pump the brakes, wait a little bit longer before you make this move. Now, even though I just said that, I just did 3 this past week, but 2 of them were cash outs because they wanted to access some cash and do some renovations and pay off debt. Totally makes sense regardless of the rate environment. And the other one was due to an actual divorce situation, so she didn't have much of a choice. So, but don't be falling for the constant push of rate terms, or even cash outs if it doesn't make enough sense, right? I mean, we got to make sure that rate's going to make sense and that new payment's going to make sense to where you're getting enough money back to pay off the debts that you want to actually net save some money. All right. And it sounds nice to pay off high interest credit card debt, but if your payment went up by $500 a month and you only pay off $500 a month worth of debt, it did you some good, right? Because you changed the leveraging position and put more money on a lower interest mortgage loan versus the higher interest credit card. But you want to make sure it makes a little bit more sense than that. So before you just pull the trigger on a refi, please do have those conversations. Look at the numbers a little bit closer and make sure it's the right time instead of just pulling the trigger and moving on with your day and hoping everything works out for the best. So, so I hope everybody had a great New Year. I hope everybody had a great Christmas. Now, and people go through this stuff as well during the holidays. A lot of people have their homes targeted by burglars and people that are running up on porches and taking boxes and stuff. But we are also still going to be going into heavy travel season. Because a lot of people, specifically in my industry at least, we're the busiest during spring, summer, fall. So we usually take our vacations, wintertime, right? Plus, I like to get away from the snow every now and again. It's damn cold out there right now. So it'd be nice to get some 80-degree weather. So a lot of people travel and then head south for the winter. So just some tips here. So, a lot of homes and neighborhoods, especially high-end neighborhoods, get targeted this time of year. It doesn't matter. If you feel like you're in a safe place, safe neighborhood, people are constantly scoping you out. If you sit on your front porch and you saw this car drive by more than once and it's like, I don't recognize that car. That's weird. Maybe they're lost. No, they're probably not lost. They're probably scoping the joint. All right. So just pay attention out there. Anyways, common mistakes, all right? Lose the spare key. Okay, if you are still using one of those little spare key hidden rock things from, Sky Mall from 1992, you're not fooling anybody. Get rid of it. All right. Don't place it under your doormat. Just get rid of the spare key in general when you are gone. I mean, you probably shouldn't have it there while you're at work or anything like that, because it's just so obvious. You're not fooling anybody, right? I mean, if I see a brick on your front porch that doesn't really belong there, I'm going to guess you're hiding a key under it. Same thing with doormats and all that stuff. So just get rid of them and put a lockbox on, right? Those things, that's a challenge, okay? I mean, you got to see. There can't be anybody around because they're going to be out there with bolt cutters trying to get this thing open. Even if they get that thing off the door, they're still not getting into it that easily. So, do something like that. Do, digital keypads and entries for back doors and front doors and your garage door openers. Find other ways to access your home without leaving a spare key hanging around under a rock, okay? And then make it look like your home is actually still being occupied. I know light timers are kind of an old thing, but they're kind of coming back too, because like Google Home and a lot of people have all these devices to where you can actually set your lights to go on at certain times. So maybe that's something you do. You set your lights to come on right around now 5:30, 6 o'clock, since it gets so damn dark here at 5 o'clock nowadays. I would do that. Delay your mail, right? That's a big one. Overflowing mailboxes is a sign that you've been gone for a while, okay? So you could be a target. So just contact the post office, have them delay your mail for a little while or hold the mail. You'll come pick it up, and then you can resume service when you get back. And then during this time of year with all the snow, ice, make sure you have someone hired in your neighborhood to either plow your driveway, snow blow it, shovel it out, whatever, to kind of make it look like someone's actually active there at home. And the big one, which I know this is going to be a hard one for everybody. See, I'm not a big one. I don't do this very often. But don't advertise your trip on Facebook, right? So we've always gotten into the habit, like we don't even check in the airport, right? My wife and I, or when we're traveling with the kids or anything like that. All the photos get posted like when we're done, on the way home, or when we're back, or something like that. Because, you got so much going on, you don't want to have to monitor all this stuff on Facebook. But try not to announce the trip if you can help it. Don't check into the airports. Don't check in restaurants, on Facebook check-in and stuff like that. It just makes you an extra target. Post all that stuff when you get back. No one needs to know. Door jams. So truly great tip, and a lot of handyman talk about this too, is your faceplate on your door jamb, right? So where your lock goes into. Those things are held in, truly, you may want to check them, by like half-inch screws, maybe, if you're lucky. I mean, they are tiny. They're just there to hold it. That is so easy to kick in a door, okay? So a lot of people upgrade their faceplates. A lot of them will use 3-inch screws that really go into the door jamb and into the stud, past that door jamb, 3-inch screws. I think that's a great tip. To prevent easy, shimming it open and using a crowbar or even kicking it in. So do that. That would probably break some burglar's leg when they try to kick it. Don't leave your garage door openers in your vehicle. So, like, if you go on vacation, you leave a vehicle in a driveway or, street park or whatever you do, and it's not in the garage, try not to leave your garage door opener in there. It is so much easier to break into a car and no alarms go off. They snap the garage door open and pop that puppy open. They're in. All right, so that's one thing that I never really think of, actually, and I think that's a great tip. And then the last one, the easiest one, sign up for a security system, right? ADT. I know Ring doorbells give you some sense of security, and it pushes burglars away because they know there's a camera hooked up there. But again, easy old face mask, right? Hides their identity. It's not too challenging. But in general, there was a survey done on thieves and burglars that were in prison, and they said 60% of them said that was the highest deterrent to keep them away from that house was truly seeing cameras outside. And there was obviously a security system or an ADT sign in the front yard. Something along those lines is naturally a deterrent, right? Even if you are putting in faux cameras, right? You can get them. Just go buy a camera. It's not that they're fake, but they're not even hooked up. You just anchor them in. get them installed. Don't even have to have them wired up. That right there, deterrent. Okay, but things like ADT, which have constant monitoring, they have window sensors, they have all kinds of stuff you can do. I think that's a great option to install. I mean, I've seen some of their price points anywhere from $40 all the way, the $60 and $70 a month, depending on what kind of equipment that you get. And actually, if that's something you are interested in, we are a partner of ADT, and we can give some pretty good discounts if you go through us. So give us a holler if that's something you have interest in. And just a couple of tips, guys, to keep your home safe during the holidays. I know we just got past them, but a lot of people are going to be traveling. So make sure you're using this information, apply it. Very simple stuff, but it's a great way to keep your home safe, especially if you just bought that new one and you're not familiar with the neighborhood yet. All right. So that's all I got for you this week, guys. Hopefully we get some market movement here soon on these rates. Again, there's going to be a little bit of turbulence in the month of January. We're going to see it. We're going to have the inauguration in a couple of weeks. A lot of stuff's going to change. But excited to see what happens. But hopefully we get some softening in the market here soon. And we have a great buying season in 2025, as is anticipated by all the professionals. We shall see. So, guys, remember, check us out on YouTube and make sure you subscribe. Hit that like button. Share it with your friends. Check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We'll catch you all next week.